play, the next kick, be as ready as we can be. One more chance to do that here at home against a division opponent. And hopefully he'll have a great success this Sunday doing that in our home stadium.
Any other questions for Coach Ross?
That's good.
Brooks?
Okay. Good.
All right, Coach, one more.
You got one inside the 5 on a punt, and one almost again against the 49ers. What goes into, being able to get there? I think we always statistically we always hear about inside the 10, but y'all have gotten within the 5 so often. What goes into that, and how are y'all able to do that successfully?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think, there's not just the gunner making the play, which didn't happen. It happened on one play earlier in the game. We were able to pin them on the 4 or 3 yard line there. And then later in the game, obviously in the fourth quarter, it was, it basically, we got to make the plays. And the gunner in that instance, AJ, it knocked through his hands there. So, but that's not the only thing that goes into it. First, you need a good snap. Okay. You need a good operational timing, so we're not affected with the rush. You need good protection. You need hang time to match a location width. And then you need a gunner stem and release to make all those things happen there inside of the 10. So, it's not just a one-man show, but at the end of the day, if you look at the game from a week ago, we got to make better plays. And, we didn't punt the ball perfectly. We didn't handle the ball in that instance perfectly. We didn't cover. We covered well in instances. And then, we kicked the ball down the middle of the field, and it stressed our coverage on another instance. So, relative to the logo and the punting to try and back them up and play the field position game, that's got to be 100% execution if you want to have a chance versus a really good team like the Titans. And hopefully we can do that. This coming Sunday is one of the biggest tests we've had all year. It will always be that way against the Mike Vrabel team. We've got to make sure we are sharp fundamentally, but sharp mentally, and our awareness level is at an all-time high. And then when it comes to those few plays that are game deciding factors in the special teams world, we got to execute, and we got to be the ones that come out on the make it grade this weekend. So it's a good question, but yeah, we're going to be ready to go, and hopefully we can finish this thing on a high note. So.
And I know your focus is on this game. I'm curious because, after this season's over, I mean, what will things in the off season that you're looking forward to? Just what will your process be once that final game is over, and, there'll be off-season moves and stuff like that with players and such. How much input do you expect to have, and what is your role in kind of all that once the season is over?
Sure. To give it the true answer, got to just worry about Sunday, and that is true. But as from the 35,000 foot view, the number one word is growth. Continuing our development of continuity amongst core players that will remain here, and add new guys that will obviously be added as you get towards the draft and things like that. But, nothing can set you up for success like an off season, like ending on a high note in a strong performance. And that's what we're going to set out to do. We're going to set out to make sure we know we're going to have all of our concepts ready to go, make sure we're executing our fundamentals and putting players in the right position to be successful, and then continuing to do that as you evaluate your self-scout and, ways to get better throughout the offseason. So, be critical on myself, be critical on our team and our players, and find ways to get better as we move forward. So, okay.
And as it's been your first year, I'm curious, like, do you have things that you have, like notes, things you wanted to get to that are only afforded in an off season that you might be able to get?
I think we're frozen up here. Still hear me?
You hear us?
I can hear you, Coach.
Okay. Yeah.
I think Brooks is frozen.
Okay. Gotcha. Yeah. We're always taking notes, and whether that's in game or in a staff meeting or after practice, et cetera. So, things that, you want to get to, whether they came up in a game, whether they came up in a week of preparation that didn't come to fruition in a game or not. But, the fun part to me about coaching is the creativity aspect, where you can look at things to implement and look at ways to hopefully, quote unquote, take advantage or create an edge. And, during those off season, that's a great time to review those, even if you didn't get to use them, or, maybe there's a new player or, training a same player in a different role. So we'll look at all those things as we get through that here. But first things first, we got to be ready for the Titans on Sunday.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, guys.
ask you about Kama Grugier-Hill and his contributions. I know he missed some time with COVID and the knee injury, but you get him back in the lineup against the Niners. And what did you think of him overall this year?
It will definitely be good to get him back. Well, it was good to get him back. He came in and know a lot about him, disliked a lot of his traits, but he's got great football knowledge. Comes to work every day, can make plays. Played very well the first time around we played Tennessee, but he's one of our guys. Look to the future, of course. You'd like for him to be a part of that. But it's about this, the future is about right now, and best way to set up your future is to play well. We're not in an ideal position. The two teams that play for the Super Bowl know exactly when their last game will be. And there's some of us that know that this is it. And you want to leave a great taste in your mouth. And we want to see the guys play their best. That's all we're asking the defensive guys to do, to show us your best. And I'm sure Kamu will do that.
Brooks?
Lovie, how much was being able to have success against the Titans run game last time, helping you guys get those interceptions, and how much important is that in this game when it's possible they get Derrick Henry back?
Well, everything starts with, defensively, stopping the run. I know most offensive teams that say that they, running football teams, they come in wanting first to establish the run. So we have to be able to do that. It's as simple as that. We got to be gap sound, discipline, not let any explosive plays break out. And if you're able to do that and make a team one-dimensional, of course, that's nothing new. But that gives you opportunity to take the ball away more when they're having to throw it. And they threw it last time a lot more than I'm sure they wanted to.
Cole?
Lovie, last game that you guys played against the Titans, Desmond really kind of came on strong. He had 2 interceptions, and he's really started to transition more to playing the outside. What have you seen from him since that game, and do you feel like he's been able to make the right adjustments to be able to play more of the zone coverage you're looking for?
Yes, I think that's tough duty starting off with. You've been an inside guy playing nickel, and we ask you to go outside. It's totally different things you're looking for on the outside as far as the defensive back is concerned. One of the things we ask our guys to do is tackle. Des King is a physical guy that loves to do that, but he also has great instincts playing the ball. When you're a punt returner, that says an awful lot about your ball skill, but he's done a lot of good things for us. And whenever you play, an opponent that you once played for, there's special meaning to it also, but we'll need him to play that type of game this week.
Aaron Wilson?
Hey, Lovie, with John Grenard, we were talking with him yesterday. He talked about his season and wanting to next year just be healthier, be able to sustain some of the things that he started. What did you see from him overall, and where do you see the areas for growth that John could have? Thank you.
Well, just looking at what Jonathan has done throughout, another young football player that's showed a lot of flashes. He mentioned the injuries. That is just being available each week allows you to reach your full potential. And Jonathan dealt with a lot of things this year. When he's healthy, he can rush, he can play, our 6 technique, which he does for us most of the time, where he'll start off over tight end most plays, but he can rush the passer from the outside. He's a good run support player. There's a lot of positives in his game. And once we get those injuries out of the way, a lot of potential, to say the least.
Brooks?
Lovie, with a lot of the guys learning and moving around and finding out about themselves in this defense, how much can an offseason help some of the guys that are coming back next year and their growth?
I think it can help an awful lot. I think it also helps, though, when and in our case, a lot of guys were forced to play multiple positions, and that can help you get a better understanding of the overall defense. But in an ideal world, we would like to be able to lock guys into one position. The quarterback's not playing wide receiver and running back too. You want to lock guys into a position and let them grow. at that position. A lot of the special players I've been around, they play one position most of their lives. So, but when you come in new, you're not, allowed that luxury a lot of time. But going forward, hopefully we'll be able to we know a lot more to get guys in their established position and keep them there and let them grow from there.
Last one for Cole.
Lovie, you kind of were talking about interchangeable positions with young guys like Garrett and Roy, especially Garrett playing all three linebacker positions. Where have you seen the most growth, and what do you want to see from them in the final game of the year?
Well, as we talked about playing multiple positions, it takes a special guy to do that, especially early. So for us to put those guys in that position and see how they handled it, Garrett and different guys like that, just lets us, just helps us going forward with them and getting them in the right position. But it helps an awful lot. As I said before, though, it's still about locking guys in. But when you do multiple things like that, you get a chance to show all of your skill set. And that's what we've been able to do. We may have to do it again. COVID has forced us to do a lot of those things too. But again, we know a lot more, and we have a lot of players back this week, and we'll need them all to be a great Tennessee team.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
Brandon Cooks, and what different ways were you able to use him this year than you did last year?
Yeah, I think, ever since we've been here, we've always tried to take advantage of the skill sets of the guys that we've had. Obviously, earlier in the year last year, there's probably some, a little bit of a time there where it took us to get familiar with one another. Him getting familiar with how we do things here, and us getting familiar with what he really excels at. I mean, he's good at a lot of things, but like what he's special at. And so this year, I think just being able to kind of jump right into that and not have that adjustment period and be able to get, right to that from Jump Street. And, he's great. He does everything that we ask him to do. And he's always willing to come and allow us to move him around and do different things. So, it's been good being able to work with Brandon again this year.
And Coley on Monday, when he was asked about the offense and your job this year, you said been fine, just a little inconsistent. Y'all have been trying to figure out who you are. What has that process been like this year, trying to figure out what this offense is?
It's been frustrating at times for sure. Obviously, the results haven't been what we wanted them to be. But the guys have really come in every single day, trying to work and not trying to work, coming in and working and doing everything that we've asked them to do. So while, the results haven't been there, being able to come in every day and practice and work with them, it's been great. They've attacked practice every day with the type of intensity and urgency that we need them to. And luckily for us, we still get another opportunity to go out there and hopefully go out and perform at, the highest level yet on Sunday.
Aaron Wilson.
Hey, good morning, Tim.
Good morning, Aaron.
Tim, this is your last game of the season and Davis Mills's last game of the season.
Mm-hmm.
What have you seen from Davis? What do you hope for from him heading into the offseason as you have him under center again on Sunday against the Titans?
Yeah, obviously similar to kind of what we were talking about last week, he's become more comfortable with what we're asking him to do and the different things that he's seeing. Last week was a different animal. That was a good defense that we played, and probably the most hostile environment, if you want to call it that. Really, probably since Buffalo, I would say. So going in and handling the different environments and handling the different challenges that San Francisco presented, was good because everything he's doing is a learning experience. So he did some really good things. He was able to stretch the field. We had the 50-yard ball that Brandon kind of wiped off the books there, but that was a good read and a good throw. It was good to see him threaten him down the field, and he did that a couple times with a couple of the DPIs that we were able to get also. Really this week, obviously playing at home against a really good Titans defense is going to present its own set of challenges, and just really looking forward to him going out there and performing well and playing within the offense and making all the plays that come his way. I think there were probably one or two plays that he would like to have back from Sunday. Some uncharacteristic things that we haven't really seen him do. And so hopefully we're looking for him to kind of eliminate those plays and continue to make big plays for us.
Christy?
To keep talking about Mills, what do you think is the biggest thing he'll need to work on this offseason if he wants to take a step forward next year?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just continuing to learn the league. Learning the different skill sets of the players that he's going to be going against, learning the skill sets and the guys that we have, learning defenses, and really how he can affect them. And I think all those things, playing that position, really allow you to play faster and play with a sense of anticipation, which allows you to play on time. So, when you're playing on time, it eliminates a lot of things. It can eliminate a great pass rush if you're playing on time, and you know where you're going with the ball. When we sit down and have our conversation at the end of the season, we'll obviously have some more things to work on. But right now, that would be first and foremost. And he's made great strides in that area. The past however many weeks. So, he's doing great with that. It's just, again, with being a rookie and, having limited experience, he's now got a whole season under his belt to where he can go back and look and really study the opponent, study the different defenses, not just to the teams that we're playing, but really the different themes throughout the league. So again, when we end up playing that type of defense or that family of defense, he's able to anticipate and play even faster.
Brooks?
When it comes to Mills and what y'all were able to do in recent weeks, just personnel-wise and what y'all built around him, has it been all too much different from whenever he was first there? And what are the things that you found that he's done best here?
Yeah, I mean, the personnel has basically been the same since he's been here. Hasn't been much overturn there. Probably the only difference being not having Mark, but Rex and David and Royce and all those guys have done a good job of stepping up there. And yeah, he's making good decisions with the ball for the most part. For the most part, he's really accurate. And again, like last week, it was encouraging to see him display some of the last 2 weeks, display, not only the arm strength, but the accuracy down the field with some of those balls when we were able to stretch the defense. So, again, he's done everything we've asked him to do. I think he's shown he's got the ability and talent to make every throw, to do everything that we're going to ask our guys to do. So again, like I said, he's got another great opportunity on Sunday to go against a good defense, a well-coached defense, to go and take another stride and make sure we're heading into this offseason with a good taste in our mouth.
That accuracy, you said some of those good throws, were those things you had seen before? Do those kind of plays like against the 49ers like trigger something in you? You're like, all right, now I can use this with him in the future? No,
I think, he's been accurate since he's been here. He was accurate in college. You know what I mean? Like, obviously that's why he's here, because of his ability and because of his talent. And it's now kind of like what we were hitting on. There was no hesitation. He saw what he saw on that. And again, I know it got called back because of I believe it was a holding. But he saw what he saw on the safety, and there was no hesitation. He just ripped it, and Brandon went up and made a great play. Similar to a couple of weeks ago with the ball to Chris at the end of the half. He was clued into what he was looking at. He got he got that particular look. The safety was flat-footed. Chris ended up winning, and he launched one, and it was a beautiful ball. Chris made a great play. So again, eliminating that bit of hesitancy just because he's playing more confidently has been great. So it's not like he's made, he's always been accurate. He's always had the arm strength. Now he's just able to go and again, like I said, because he's a little bit more comfortable, he's playing with more confidence and he's able to rip those balls for us.
Last one for Adam.
Hey, Tim, something you talked about when you were answering Christy's question about Davis learning more about defensive personnel, defensive schemes. Davis had mentioned similar thing to us earlier this week, that he's looking at what they're doing more. Was there a point in time this year where you even had a conversation about it, or you just recognized that he knew your offense well enough to start turning the focus to the defenses? I think
that's a big part of it. It's really difficult to concern yourself with what the other guy's doing if you're still trying to figure out what you're supposed to be doing. So, the more he became comfortable with the offense, and the longer he was in it, the less, bandwidth was being eaten up by, hey, just normal alignments and normal formations. Cause at the end of the day, like all that stuff, that's just got to be second nature. And he put in the work and he worked his tail off and he got to the point where that was second nature. So he did. And now he's able to kind of process a little bit more information. So again, the more he continues to play and the more he's able to see these things, I think we're going to see that continue to improve and grow with him. And again, I think that's just part of the natural maturation process.
Was there an actual moment or even a conversation where you knew it's time to move to that, or he told you, I feel like I have a handle on this, let's get more of that?
Yeah, I think, for us, obviously, because with Tyrod in the room too, like Tyrod, he's seen it all and he's able to handle probably more. So I think some of that happened probably when Tyrod came back and we went back to kind of, okay, this is how Tyrod, this is what we're looking at with this. This is, the different coverages. This is how this guy's going to play this, so on and so forth. And so again, when you're not worried about all the little things that just now come naturally for him, you're able to kind of send some of that focus and attention to what's going on across from you. And again, like I said, there was no like come to Jesus meeting or anything sitting down. It's just something that he's a really intelligent player. He's got really high capacity. So it was just a matter of time before he was, able to hammer out everything else and be able to send some of that, attention to the defense. So he's done a good job in that area. And again, like we talked about, like there's definitely still strides to be had, to be made. But that'll be for next season and this offseason.
Thanks, Coach.